Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Philline, a safe space where we can talk about what it's like being in our 20s in the 20s. And for this episode, we're going to be talking about something super special, the end of this wretched year. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready. We're going to talk about what to be excited for, what to look forward to, New Year's resolutions, and things that might happen next year. So let's get right started into this episode. Hey guys, what's going on? Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys got everything that you wanted for the holidays. And I also hope that you guys got to spend some really good quality time with the people you love. It is freezing where I live. It just snowed today, and it's so cute because it's Leo's first snow day, so it was kind of cute to see him look outside. He was looking at our back door like, what the hell is this white flurry stuff outside? And he kept crying and whining. It was so cute, but like also triggering because he whines at everything. But we took him outside and had our first walk in the snow. So it was really cute. And he was wearing this fuzzy little sweater that says dog in the back. It's very original, but also very cute. And remember an episode or two before when I was talking about how it's not even that cold outside? Well, I spoke way too soon because today was freezing and I am not looking forward to this winter. I have a bad feeling about it because why not end 2020 with a crazy winter, am I right? And 2020, can I just say, thank the Lord, it is almost done. It has been the toughest year of the entire planet, and I'm so ready to move forward from it and work our way up. I mean, the 20s, it's supposed to be something interesting to talk about and something that's good for us in our 20s to look forward to, but it's just been so hard. But the upside of that is that we've been so low, and the only direction to go from here is up. Am I right? And if I had to summarize 2020 in just a few words, events, memories, it's the following. Coronavirus, obviously, elections, sad deaths, Kobe included, RIP to the GOAT, fires, everything closing, everything opening, everything closing again, and then some things potentially opening, and nothing was ever the same, and it will never be the same, unfortunately. But being granted that this is going to be the last episode of the year, I definitely don't want to end it in a bad note. I am hopeful and positive and looking forward to this coming year, in that it's going to be something that in a way helps people in our 20s appreciate our lives more, especially seeing the quality of this country and just with everything going on. And hopefully we'll go into this year with a better awareness of things that need to be changed in this country, especially with politics, with healthcare, and a lot of other things. And I hope that me too, I mean, I'm in the same age group, obviously, but I hope that many people are kind of coming down from their high horse, from their high chair, from their high everything, to realize that life is actually really short and it's so random, and the most random things can happen. So I think that we can start this year with that mentality that we should make every second valuable and every second worth it. And to remember also that life will always continue to go on, and it's just a matter of adapting to what we are given and what we are provided with and making the most of it. I think that's definitely a huge summary of this year, on top of everything going on, the protests, the laws of our current system. Everything's kind of coming out, and I think it's good for us, especially for our generation. And as we're growing up, we eventually will have to be in charge, be the decision-making group of the country in figuring out what we can do to better improve these situations and prevent innocent people from getting killed. And that's not to say, unfortunately, these problems aren't immediately going to be eliminated or non-existent. That's almost impossible to happen. And I hate to say it, but it's going to happen, unfortunately, because people sometimes are ignorant. They don't listen. They're not educated. There's a lot of reasons why people don't change or are not willing to change. So it's just a matter of continuing to raise awareness in all of the issues that are going on in this country and continuing to move forward, continuing to make progress. That's what's important. It's not skipping steps, it's not going backwards, it's making progress. And definitely just in the year alone, in terms of raising awareness of what's wrong in this country, there's been a lot done to do that. So I think that's a good thing that came out of this year. Out of all of the negative events and situations, something good came out of this year. And honestly, I've learned to be grateful for all the little things of this year. Like, I was in a pharmaceutical job before my current job right now, and I didn't like waking up at 5:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning when I'd had to get to work at 6 in the morning. But I was so grateful that I didn't lose my job because people had it so much worse. So I think this year also just made me so grateful for just the little things, just for being able to see my family, for being able to work, for being able to pay bills, and to see my friends when I could, and to be grateful for technology, even though I'm obsessed with it and I can't stop being on my phone. I'm grateful that I have it because I could at least talk to my friends when I couldn't in person. And I understand more the idea of money and its value to people's lives and how it can be easily taken away from someone and easily affect everyone around us, which also freaks me out because money is part of everything we do. And it's crazy that something like a pandemic can completely take that away from you and just take away any ability you have to get things done, pay your bills, to even live peacefully. But that being said, this vaccine should at least do some improvement in just the country's overall status with handling coronavirus. And on that note, goodbye 2020. You were horrible and we're ready to get over you and move on to the next year. We're over you. Bye, Felicia. Now, on to some more awesome, fun, and particularly funny memories of New Year's in general. Although this New Year's is going to be a little bit different, it still doesn't change the fact that we're going to celebrate a new year. Time isn't going to stop for us, whether in the middle of a pandemic or whatever's going on in our lives. There's something to look forward to, and that's a whole new year, and it feels like a restart almost. And I know this time around it might be hard to think about a restart, but it's a fresh slate. We can start over. We can focus on what we want to accomplish, even though half the time we don't, and continue to just change ourselves and be the best version of ourselves. New Year's in our 20s. Now, I'm only 24, which means I've only celebrated 3 New Year's in my 20s so far. And it's weird because every year that I did celebrate it, I was not in the city because, one, I am not a big fan of huge crowds in the first place. I was at first, maybe when I turned 21, just for the hype of going to bars and shit, but I didn't like the crowdedness, especially at Rutgers. You guys know the main bars if you've been to Rutgers. There's a bar called Scarlet Pub, and you literally cannot breathe. There are people squishing you left and right. Even just going to the bathroom would take you about 20 minutes just to get there. And of course, there's going to be a line because it's packed. And honestly, just thinking about being in a crowded space right now stresses me out. I can't believe I thought that was so fun. And now I'm really enjoying just the company of going to someone's house, hanging out, being chill. And it's just so funny that I thought that was fun at the time. And I would do it every weekend, basically all weekend. I would go out Friday night, Saturday night, and even Sunday nights. But be responsible, kids. New Year's when I was 20. That's a funny story because most nights that I did something and got completely trashed, I obviously don't remember, but there's this one really funny memory that I specifically remember from that New Year's, and it was me going to this girl's house for New Year's. And mind you, I didn't know like 75% or 80% of the people there. Really, the only people I knew were my boyfriend Marcos and I think 3 of my friends were there too. That was it. Anyways, if there's one thing that I don't do or I'm not supposed to do when I'm drinking is eat sweets, because I don't know why. Some people can be drunk and eat sweets just fine, but I cannot have sweets if I'm drunk. So naturally, at this party, there's a cute little bowl of all these delicious, soft chocolate chip cookies, and those are my weaknesses. Now, Marcos already knew that sweets and alcohol don't mix with me. He knows this. So he was watching me eyeing these cookies, and he was like, don't even think about it. And I was like, I'll only eat half of one. I'll only have one. He turns around for 2 seconds to go talk to his friends, and next thing he knows, I'm 4 cookies in, and the rest is history. Needless to say, I yacked, and it was embarrassing because 1, I yacked at a party, and 2, I yacked in a kitchen sink. And it was in the middle of a crowded party, and my friends were basically covering me, and the girl's house that we were at basically came up to them, and she was like, what's going on? They're like, oh, nothing, move along, nothing to see here. And shout out to my friends and Marcos, you guys are the real shit. But that was definitely a really embarrassing story for New Year's that I remember only partially vividly. But the rest of the night was really fun. I was at least with Marcos to say New Year's and have a cute little New Year's kiss or whatever. But it's weird because this was, I think, only the second time that I didn't spend New Year's with my family. So I feel like in America especially, it's a tradition or a more common thing to do to celebrate New Year's with your friends. And my parents really didn't understand that. And don't get me wrong, I didn't understand it at first either, because I always saw the holidays as something to do with your family and not exactly your friends. But then when my friends became my family, that was kind of the explosion, the poof in my head that like, oh shit, that makes sense now. Yeah, so, we had to adjust, both me and my family, to realize that, hey, New Year's is fun and all, but it doesn't have to be a just family holiday, or I don't have to spend it with just friends. I can see my family too. It's honestly whatever you want. And that's kind of the start of a really good time, because me and my parents were kind of understanding each other more. And it honestly took me almost being 21 and honestly me getting out of a really bad relationship and letting go of some negative friendships that I mentioned in my 2 previous episodes about emotionally abusive and manipulative relationships and whatever. So I was in a mind state that was like, I need to enjoy things for myself before I'm not young enough to do this anymore. And that didn't mean going out and getting drunk, obviously, but when am I ever going to do that again when I'm 30 and have kids? I can't just go to some random person's party and yak in their sink in the kitchen. Oh, it was so embarrassing. I can't even believe I remember that. I try to cancel it every time I think about New Year's, and it just keeps coming back. But that was a great start to my 20s. And side note, I do feel bad for the people who just turned 20 this year, but I promise you, there are going to be many more opportunities in life to throw a banger with your friends and just celebrate life. I do feel bad because you guys didn't have a chance to really celebrate it this year, but listen, as fun as it was, I didn't need it, you know what I mean? Right now, celebrating New Year's that's coming up, I can only picture a good time being with my family and my close friends and Marcos and my dog. So obviously, there's more to life than the party life that maybe a lot of people were sad that it was immediately canceled because of the coronavirus. But anyways, when 21 happened, my New Year's, I'm staring at my outline right now, and I literally cannot remember what I did for New Year's when I was 21. I really cannot remember for the life of me. It's giving me a headache. Like, did you guys ever? I don't know. I feel like I went crazy that night and I just can't remember because maybe I blacked out, question mark. But do you guys ever try to remember a memory from a night where you were trashed and you get the worst headache trying to remember it because you literally don't remember it at all? That's what happened to me. But I'm pretty sure I had a good time. And again, it was still in the mentality of partying, being with friends, drinking a lot, blah, 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 blah. And then when I turned 22, that was kind of the pivotal moment where I was still going out a lot. And trust me, it was a bad habit. And I just started stopping this habit maybe when the pandemic happened. But see, it's funny now that we're talking about it, the memories are kind of coming back. When I really think about it, when I was 21 and 22, I was at a friend's house celebrating New Year's. And that was really fun. It was a good, relaxing moment, especially because I knew everybody. I wasn't uncomfortable. I don't know. I feel like when I get anxious, which was also a bad circling habit for me, I would drink more so that I wouldn't feel anxious and then I would just be a mess. And then last year when I was 23, I'm pretty sure I just spent it with my family friends and then we went to my best friend Noelle's house. Shout out Noelle. And we made it just in time for the countdown. It was, I'm pretty sure, a low-key stressful night. I don't remember why it was stressful, but I do remember it was stressful. And I feel like New Year's isn't becoming as big as a holiday as I remember it being when I was younger. And I think that just ties into adulthood and how tomorrow doesn't feel like any different than it is yesterday. It's still a cheery time, don't get me wrong, but I think the stigma with it, you view these holidays as such innocent little celebrations and not really thinking about life, honestly. And New Year's, I feel like a lot of times, especially New Year's Eve, you look back at your life and realize that you didn't really accomplish as much as you wanted to when you started writing down your goals for the beginning of the year. Now, for you people who don't write goals in the beginning of the year, my thing is this. If you're going to start a new year, why not just have some type of goal from what you want at the end of the year? And I know other people have different opinions on this because, a lot of people's thinkings are, I'm not going to accomplish these things at the end of the year anyway, so why do I even have to do it in the first place? Me, I love to keep lists, and I'm definitely a list person. I think I've said this before. But if I see that that is my goal, the more that I see it in my head, the more that I'm actively thinking on it and actively trying to make it happen. So even if you don't achieve it at the end of the year, why not try? Am I right? And, we have the mind to get things done. There's a lot of power in continuously thinking that you're going to accomplish something and actually accomplishing it, especially at this age when we have such strong brains that are ready to still continue to learn things and have a life open for us to accomplish and reach our goals. And even by the end of the year, when I don't accomplish something 100%, maybe even 30%, I'm thankful to even make it that far because I was continuously making an active choice to want to accomplish it. And another thing that I have read about that a biggest reason why people don't reach their resolutions by the end of the year is because they're not specific enough. A good example is just me wanting to be fit. So obviously my New Year's resolution for this year was to exercise more, which I did, but in what context? What did I want to exercise more for? Did I want to lose weight? Did I want to tone my body? Did I want to lose amount of weight? I didn't specify that. So yes, I exercised more, but I didn't have an end goal on what I wanted specifically out of my body and how I wanted my body to look. And another thing that I read that is another reason why people don't reach their resolutions is that they make negative resolutions. So I definitely am guilty of this. When I think of what I'd like to accomplish this year, I think of don't think negatively, don't eat junk food, don't stare at a phone all day. And, that's great and clear kind of concise goals on what you want out of the year, but if you just change the wording and make it something more positive, it does so much for you. And this is just about goals in general. Instead of don't eat junk food, maybe instead eat more vegetables and eat a more well-rounded diet. Instead of don't stare at my phone all day, change it to read a book or two once a month or record a podcast. I'm just thinking of things on the top of my head. But it really is how you shape the goal itself. And I know I might be thinking too much on just goals in general, but it is important. If there's something you really want to accomplish, you want to make every step positive and not something that, you have to keep saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't be tempted, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Instead of don't do it, hey, let's do this instead. Another thing that I guess me personally, I have noticed about the fact that I can't reach certain goals is it really what you want for yourself? Now, you could tell yourself you want to lose weight, but it won't be done unless you personally want it. If your goal is to lose weight because somebody else is telling you to do so, it's not going to have a great effect as it would if you were thinking about that for yourself. So even if you set one goal for yourself this year, make sure it is something that you want for yourself. And another thing with goals is that just like fitness goals, just like life goals, and things you want to accomplish, you're not going to get it in the second that you say, okay, I'm going to decide to finish this by the end of the year. It might not reach that point by the end of the year, but like I said, the progress is what's important. If you, for example, want to lose weight, the small things matter. If you just start January with changing even the slightest thing in your diet and just continuously working on it as time goes, that is something super big to be proud of, even if by the end of the year you're still eating potato chips like I am, because I freaking love salt and vinegar chips. But anyways, speaking of salt and vinegar chips, I miss them so much. I literally have not had them since I've been doing this workout cutting plan where I'm trying to lose weight and reach a specific weight goal. And I cannot wait to even just have a bite of it. It doesn't mean I can't eat it though. I have cheat meals once a week, but I make that active choice not to indulge and not to eat those chips. But that's what I mean, right? In general, with goals and things, it's not about just writing it down on paper. It's making the active choice to work on it every day. And that really depends on your mind state and what you actually want to accomplish. If you really, really wanted something, you would work towards it and continuously keep your mind active on that goal. But if there's something that I guess I can say from the pandemic is that it's changed my perspective and what I really truly want for myself in this year. And I feel like a lot of people also feel the same because they've been given the time to think on these things and kind of reflect on how we are as a person. And I think that it's given us the time to evaluate ourselves and determine, is there something that we really truly should be working on now that we have the time to? And I'm not saying we didn't have the time before, because we did, especially in our 20s. We can't blame our busy life as something that will stop us from reaching our goals because, listen, truth of the matter is, as we get older, it's going to get busier. For people who don't have kids yet, just wait till you have kids. I mean, my best friend has kids and I already can hear from her how busy her life is now. And even before kids, she would say she's busy, but damn, is she busy now? And she's killing it at life, honestly, and just raising her twins. So I'm very proud of her, and just thinking about that makes me realize that, damn, I actually have a lot of time on my hands. So instead of sitting around, being on my phone, watching TV all day, I should do productive things that maybe people who had the time would make use of it better than I am now. So that's just something that came out for me in the pandemic. And again, I'm not really telling everybody to have your goals written down and whatnot, but it is the start of a new year, and just thinking about maybe what you want for the next year for yourself, that's really important, because if you're centered on what you want for yourself, you can make this next year something very valuable for your life. And the 20s, again, is a super valuable time for everyone's life. Now, me personally, my goals, I guess, just first starts with loving my body as it is and continue to love it as I shape it in the way that I would love to because of fitness, because of my diet. And I've definitely had a hard time doing that my whole life, really. And it's crazy because when I was in middle school and skinny, I thought that I was fat. And now looking back, it's like, why did I even think that? Because now look at me, I can barely even keep myself to that weight anymore. But that's my first thing. And another thing I want to accomplish from this year that I hope a lot of people are also thinking about is just saving more. I know I've talked about investing in my previous episode, and I'm definitely going to talk about it more here. Don't get me wrong. But Christmas time is always where I kind of falter in terms of saving, and I kind of lose a lot of what I was supposed to save in trying to get gifts for everybody, in binge shopping, in getting stressed, because honestly, for me, when it gets cold, my emotions are all over the place and I end up stress shopping. Yeah. Another big thing that I want for myself, especially now that I'm kind of growing up a little bit in my 20s, is kind of being more aware of people's feelings, emotions, opinions, because everybody is different. And especially not being in college anymore, not living with my family anymore, I am exposed to a lot of people who do a lot of different things, especially on their free time. And I kind of have to come to terms with that still because, I grew up in a household where everyone was willing to do anything with me and basically adapt to their schedule and just hang out with me all the time. But everyone around me is different. They're not going to want to do the same things with you. And it's something that I have to work on. I think that I have struggles with people saying no when they want to do things with me. Like even something small, like going to the supermarket or something. It was more fun when I was younger, when my siblings were a little less wanting to stay inside. I could be like, hey, do you guys want to come with me to Dunkin' and we'll just get coffee? Or even, hey, do you guys want to come with me to ShopRite and just finish getting the groceries for my parents? They'd be so down to go. And now that it's kind of a different time, they're kind of their own people now, and we're not really, children to do whatever we feel like it. They have their things and responsibilities. And that also ties into just friendships and relationships where I have to understand people more and where they're coming from, and the fact that everyone has their own way of dealing with stress, with anxiety, with hanging out with their friends. People do it in different ways, whether it's video games or talking to people in person or texting or going shopping together. Everyone has their own kind of way of relaxing and kind of figuring out life in general. So I have to kind of get used to that mentality that not everyone is like me, and I've gotten better with it, don't get me wrong. It's just been a process, and it's going to be a process, and I'm looking forward to improving that more this year. Another personal goal that I have for myself this coming year is to, if situations allow me, travel more. And it's not spending loads of money going across the world, seeing new different countries. If I can't do that right now, then I won't because of COVID. But if there's something small, even going to a town that I haven't been to or a nearby state, if possible, I would love to travel more and see a little bit of the world. I'm a traveler at heart, and I just love views. I just love seeing new places. It's kind of run in my family since I was a child, basically, because we were always traveling. And mind you, I was always in Florida, but that's another story. One thing that I am really sad about is that I let my first job manager tell me that I couldn't go on vacation paid. I'd have to go not getting paid, and my dumbass said, well, then I guess I can't go. And my family went on this amazing trip to Europe, and that is such a big thing on me because they got to see basically my dream country. I love Europe. I want to go to Santorini so bad. I want to go to France, Spain, England. I want to go to everywhere. So I shouldn't have done that, and that's another thing I want to set in my goals and just continuously work on, and that is not putting work first and instead taking each opportunity I can to, one, not just travel, but also spend time with my family. I think that when I was 21 and even a little bit of 22, I really took advantage of spending time with my friends. And as fun as that was, I really love my family. I'm super attached to them. I mean, I live on my own, well, with Marcos, but not with my family anymore. And even random times, I get really homesick. So that's just something I love to do, and I have to continue to do that. Another big goal that I have for myself is to drink less. And I've definitely gotten so much better with that ever since I started this new meal plan. I definitely have tendencies just because of how 21 was, how 22 was, that I go crazy drinking. I binge drink or I just drink too much sometimes on a night. But listen, it's not wrong to get drunk on occasions. It's not wrong. You can have fun sometimes. That's totally normal, especially for people in our 20s. But when I was doing it so much, I had to realize that I was really spending horrible amounts of money on alcohol, and just continuously being aware that I don't need to be drinking in every occasion. That was another thing. I was just talking to one of my friends about social anxiety, and a little back history on me. When I was 20, when I was 21, even now, before I go to an event or go to any place that involves a lot of people, I sometimes freak out. I get anxious and think of everyone staring at me for literally no reason. Just me entering the room, everyone staring and judging not only what I look like, why am I going there alone? Because sometimes I have to go to places alone, or why I am this weight, or why am I wearing makeup? Why is my hair up? Why am I wearing such and such? Why am I showing up to a place where I don't even look of age, even though I am him? That's rude. But yeah, I have that. And I think now that I look back at it, when I was really anxious and stressed about everyone looking at me, I did drink myself a lot to not feel those things, to not feel anxious. And I know I'm not the only person who does this, because anxiety is truly a horrible monster to deal with sometimes, especially when it leads to overthinking and thinking that everyone is judging you when really they don't care. Literally, no one's staring at me. Nobody's judging I mean, maybe they are, but not as the extent that I was thinking it was. That took me a really long time to understand and realize that nobody's doing that. And the crazy part about it was I was most anxious when it came to people that I actually knew. And I don't know why that happened, but it was a thing, and unfortunately still is a thing that happens. And I think it's crazy because it didn't start until I turned 21, honestly. But I think it's just the fact that it's like a social time for people in our 20s to go to a place and maybe not know everybody and socialize, get to know new people, get to talk to people. And maybe it was just the pressure of having to be this specific person and not weird and not any way embarrassing to the group that you're with that was always in the back of my head and giving me social anxiety. But I've learned over the years that everyone is just as weird as me in their own way. And I love it. And even if they're not embarrassing dancers when they're out drinking, they are weird in other ways, and I love that. And I know everyone around me is just super down to earth and nobody's superficial, and everyone loves each other for how we are, pros and cons, bad and good. Every good quality, every bad quality, we love each other. And again, I'm thankful for the friend circle that I have, because that's just so welcoming and not many people have that. So I definitely want to not give in to the want or need or desire to have to be drunk or have to be not sober when provided opportunities to socialize with people or be in friend groups or be in large places. Even if that's not going to happen for a long time from now, it's still something I want to work on, because anxiety really is this monster that you have to become friends with. And I don't know if you guys see Big Mouth. It's a show on Netflix, and it's this animated series about people in middle school going through puberty and basically talking to their hormone monsters. And this one episode, well, this basically whole season is introducing a new character. It's this mosquito. Right? There are these little bugs that like to bite you and suck your blood, and you can't control them, and they're really annoying. And next thing you know, you have a bajillion bug bites. It's basically the symbol of anxiety. And I think the creators had that such on point because they're such little things, but in bigger groups and, when they're around you so often, it really can make you something else and someone else and get really stressed, get really depressed, and get really just do things that you don't normally do on a non-anxiety basis. So that's just something I have to work on for the year. I didn't mean to go completely out of context, but yeah, I want to control my drinking, but also control my anxiety. There's been so many times this year alone that I'm always thinking about the inevitable or the uncontrollable, and that definitely has affected me so much in just how I live life and how I see things and view people and view myself. There's been so many times where I'm thinking about things that, why am I thinking about? The biggest one for me is honestly death, and I don't even know why that started, but that's something that kind of stirs up my anxiety sometimes. So just things I need to work on. And another kind of goal that I would like to have or like to keep with me and actively focus on is not wasting time on unimportant things, unimportant drama, unimportant friendships, relationships, and just figuring things out on my own. And when I say that, it's more of me realizing that I can do things on my own without other people, or I can do things by myself without having the need to bring other people with me. And that's my hobbies on music, reading, podcasting, blogging, anything that I can do on my own free time, because just like me, just like everybody else, we all need our own things to do on our own without interruption from other people or things, and just something that we can enjoy by ourselves, even if it's something like playing games with friends. But I have to understand that I can't rely on other people, and I shouldn't rely on other people to pass time with, basically. And the quarantine has definitely tested this against me. And I wouldn't even originally be thinking about this had it been a different time, because, I gave myself that time. But now that I'm basically being forced to do things on my own, I'm kind of going crazy. But anyways, that's kind of the summary of what I would like for myself this year. And I would love to hear from you guys to kind of grow together this year and accomplish more things in our 20s this year that maybe the pandemic didn't allow, or maybe the pandemic did allow, to finally centralize our focus on. Now, for 2021, there are some ifs and thoughts on what I wonder about, and I guess we'll have to tune in to find out. But the first thing is this thing going to calm down? Because who the hell knows? The second, are we going to see the death of movie theaters? Like, I deadass think this is a new era for movie theaters, and I hope it's the comeback for drive-in theaters, because I actually like drive-in theaters, and that's such a great idea. And it's so much better because you can actually enjoy being outside and enjoy some fresh air instead of sitting in a super crowded room with a bunch of other people who most of the time are not even paying attention. They're either talking or, I don't know, I feel like most of the time people aren't really watching movies. And I also wonder what kind of games are going to be popular. I'm kind of curious because right now it's Among Us, it's maybe Fortnite, but I feel like Call of Duty is kind of taking over that. But this PS5 situation and the Xbox, what new games are going to come in? I mean, virtual reality is becoming a thing. I think the gaming industry is going to be evolving so fast. Before we know it, we'll be able to play such realistic games. I mean, PlayStation already is doing that, but just the thought of where video games can go, it's just so crazy. And speaking of PlayStation, are we ever going to get it? We will never know. The world may never know. Stay tuned. Yeah, I think I'm going to end this episode on that note because stay tuned is the best way to end an episode. Am I right? And that's it for now. Thanks so much for listening to this last episode of the year. I'll see you guys next year. I got jokes, I know. Anyways, if you have any questions, concerns, or any topics you'd like me to talk about, feel free to hit me up on all my social media. My Instagram is at Philline Podcast, FEELINPHILLINE Podcast. My TikTok is the same thing, and my Twitter is at Philline. I am so excited to start this new year with you guys and really just get into a whole new year, start new, have some positive vibes, and just overall make ourselves better. It's going to be a great year, you guys. I'm super excited. And I'll talk to you next year. Bye!